Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the In Between the Stitches podcast. I am your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwanger.
Good afternoon.
It is a good afternoon. The weather's gotten very, very nice here in Denton. It is no longer freezing but cold, but it is not hot yet. So it's in that perfect just buffer zone where it's nice and sunny, but there's a cool breeze. It's perfect weather. It's spring training weather is what it is.
Yeah.
But we're going to kick it off as usual with the Stars, and the Stars they were rolling on a road trip. They went 2-3 on an East Coast road trip, played the Devils first, beat them. I don't have the score in front of me. Then they went to the
5-1.
Yeah, they beat them pretty good.
Yeah.
And DeSmith was in
he had a good game.
in between the pipes. So,
Yeah.
And then you beat the Islanders in what was a really rough and tough, and tumble game. And then you could have gotten it over Columbus, but they just ran a blitzkrieg offense, and you just had no answer for it. So, I think they scored like 6 goals.
They fought. Stars scored.
So I think it was 6-4.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny we have a good offense, but ultimately just fell a little bit short. People are talking right now in the NHL because the trade deadline is about a week away, and there are some really big names that are potentially going to get traded. The biggest one to me is Mikko Rantanen, who I believe was already traded, and then the team that got him was like, well, now I don't know if we really want him, so now we might trade him.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when Colorado, dealt him, and especially for what they got in return. But
And now Carolina might trade him.
yeah,
So it's really interesting. One of the teams that has been mentioned is the Stars. That would be really fun, but it also kind of signals that you don't believe in Tyler Seguin coming back. Maybe. If you're going to trade for like Mikko Rantanen
yeah,
and give up what you're probably going to give up for him, yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Some other guys that could be available. And if I butcher these names, I'm sorry. Hockey names are the worst names
I'll
to
see
try
if
to
I know
pronounce.
him and I can help you correct.
Ricard Raquel. He is a top 6 forward. You've got Brock Nelson. Hey, there's an easy name to pronounce. Perfect. I think another big name is Bruins captain Brad Marchand. Bruins captain? Yes, Bruins captain Brad Marchand. He could get dealt because he's old. He's a pending free agent, and the Bruins are not very good anymore. Aging roster. They might want to deal him. So there are a lot of good names to watch at the deadline this year. The Stars have kind of if the Stars do nothing, I'm fine because you already made your move. You went and got CC and you went and got Granlund. Both have made good impacts here. Granlund had another assist, I know, against Columbus, I think it was. I think he also assisted on 2 of the Robertson goals against New York. So
He's racking up them assists.
yeah, I think he's like 5 or 6 primary assists since coming over, which is insane.
I don't know if he scored yet.
No, he has not scored a goal, but I don't care. He's assisting.
If you're assisting, yeah.
So there's your Stars update. Hopefully, we just keep on chugging. We are still second in the division behind Winnipeg and second in the conference, behind Winnipeg. We are 2 points ahead of Vegas. We are 4 points ahead of Minnesota and 4 points ahead of Edmonton. So we got a pretty healthy lead over all of our, all the people behind us. We just don't have the lead over Winnipeg.
Right.
Which is very frustrating.
Yeah.
But now we move to baseball because I'm not going to talk about basketball. No, I'm joking. My funny little I don't like the Luka trade today is on the Mavs. I have, and if anyone understands the reference, that's awesome, is the Wedding Singer Somebody Kill Me song, which I did play for Chase beforehand. Just replace the name Linda with Nico, and the song's perfect. That is the hyperlink I have. I can't play it over the air, but go look it up because that is my sentiment, and I assume Chase's sentiment still over the Luka trade. And especially after Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, listen, regardless, nothing we can do about it. Got to move forward now. But, Mavs Lakers, Luka matched up against the Mavs for the first time ever. Can't believe, I would ever hear myself saying that. But no, the Lakers took the win. And, Luka had a triple-double. Didn't play, extremely well, offensively at least. I know, efficiently, he didn't shoot well. But, he still made obviously an unbelievable impact as he always does, and we always knew he would. But it was definitely a weird watch. I sat there kind of just silent, just watching the game because, of course, I'm a Mavs fan and I want the Mavs to win. But at the end of the day, when the Lakers won, you know what, Luka won, so I'm not that upset. But going forward with the Mavs' future, they're really. they're an interesting team because right now with all the injuries that they have, they are fighting every single game to the last second, and they're just not able to pull out these games because of the lack of size and the lack of players that they have right now on their roster. And you see all the analysts and quoting the specialist, air quoting there, all of them have the Mavs as a top 5 team still in the NBA when they're fully healthy. A team that can 100% come out of the West when they're healthy. But it's just can they get healthy?
Yeah.
Because the team is so good, and obviously I wish we had Luka, but just you got to move forward now. The team is so good still, and they are set up to win in the next 5 years, and they're not really able to show what they can do. They had one game where they were able to show what they did with Anthony Davis. And, he's making good progress. Gafford's making good progress. Lively's making good progress. Martin's making good progress. All the guys are close to returning. And, we're kind of getting impatient because, everyone's saying, oh, the Mavs could be a big underdog as they're, in the playoffs. Well, first they got to get into the playoffs because right now they don't have their team and they're in the 9th seed, I believe, right now. 31-28. And, all these games that they have coming up, while they're not healthy, they got to take advantage of them. They got to find ways to win. They have the Hornets tonight, a game that they're going to be favored to win, despite the roster. So, this is a game that they got to win, and they got to find a way to win these type of games until they get their roster back and healthy. But that's about it. It was really, really... Going back to the Lakers game, Luka was really sad. You could tell in the post-game interview when they were talking about it, and he was so happy to see everybody at the end of the game, and talking to people and hugging people and whatever. Right? It's gonna be really, really emotional when he comes back here in April. It was already super emotional when he was playing against them in LA. Now when he comes back to Dallas, a place where he thought he was never gonna leave, it's gonna be rough. And I'm not looking forward to that game, but
yeah.
Look, it's I can't even. I can't keep putting. I'm not going to make every podcast about this. Going forward, we got to move on. We want him back. We all love him, but at the end of the day, he's not here anymore, and we got to just find a way to win without him now.
Yeah, it's every time we play him until his potential, I'm going to use the word potential, his potential return. There's going to be, it's going to be a story, right? It's going to be a, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a story because of the trade and the fact. Did you see the NFL put out a video where they were asking a bunch of GMs?
Yes, I saw that.
Like, what was the most shocking trade you've seen that you weren't involved in?
Yeah,
and they all were like, yeah, the Luka trade. Like, how'd they pull that? Like, you have GMs in other sports that are like, yeah, I don't know how they pulled that off. That is a steal. How awful is that?
Yeah,
like they're
other GMs are trying to get ideas now going forward.
Yeah, they're openly saying things like that, and that's frustrating.
And the Mavs are just making everything else worse. Like just with all the reports that are coming out, they just need to stop talking. They're making everything worse, and
ain't that the
they're
truth?
losing the fan base, every day, one by one, and it's they just need to stop talking and just let the game play out. And you better be right, Nico, or else.
But even then,
even then, but
we've talked about this. Even if we win a championship, I don't see Mavs fans. DFW. Mavs fans being like, "Yay!" They're gonna be like, "Yay, we won a championship, but we didn't do it with the guy we wanted to do it with."
Of course, it'll always. Well, if they win it this year, Luka still gets a ring.
But he doesn't.
No, I know.
People wanted to have the pictures of him with the things we had with Dirk, and people want that, and now we can't get that.
But
because
don't get it twisted. If they do win a championship here in the next couple of years, the city will be happy, and they will have a sellout parade, and of course, everybody wanted it to be with Luka. But at the end of the day, the thing with Mavs fans is that we're the most loyal fan base, and
They're testing it.
They're testing it for sure. And a lot of people, including myself, have given the Lakers a lot of love, and I'm going to continue to give the Lakers a lot of love. But if they do find a way to win a championship, which they very well can, I'm not gonna, I'm not discrediting the idea of thinking, because yes, this team right now is one of the best teams the Mavs have ever had. But it's just, yeah, like you said, it won't feel the same because it should have been with Luka. We were 3 games away for having, none of this would have happened if they won last year, Yeah. Nico would never have, we won last year, so I don't need to make a trade. Let's just run it back, see what happens. If we lose, we lose. We won last year. None of this would have happened. If Luka never got hurt, it wouldn't have happened. It's just unfortunate, everything that happened. And
it sucks.
I'm optimistic that he'll be back one day. Once this doesn't work out and Nico's gone, because
Darth Vader's gone.
Then, I'm optimistic he'll be back because last thing real quickly, then we can move on. But he wanted to bring this city a championship so bad, more than anything.
Yeah.
He grew up here. We watched him grow up. He was here when he was 18 years old. He's about to turn 26 tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. And
he's Gen Z.
Yeah,
which is funny to think about, but
no, seriously, he spent a third of his life here in Dallas, maybe a little less, but close enough to a third of his life.
We're not math majors here.
Whatever, a third of his life here, and
a good chunk.
It's just, it's just terrible. It
feels heartless.
Soulless. It was an egotistical decision where he just didn't care about Luka or the fans. He did it because he thought this was a better way to win instead of, he ripped everyone's heart out. And he ripped Luka's heart out. That's the most heartbreaking thing about it, is that he hurt Luka.
I was talking with my old youth pastor Jared about this, and he was like, I almost cried watching him in the press conference, after one of the games, because he looked like he was about to break down in tears.
Yeah, he does, and he's
sad.
He's always going to feel this way too. That's the thing that Nico did. He scarred him for life.
He clearly does not want to be a Laker, which is really interesting, because you would ask. It's kind of like most players want to be a Cowboy, right? Most players want to be a Yankee. You'd think most players want to be a Laker, but Luka does not seem to want to be a Laker.
That's not who Luka is. We watched Luka grow up. He's the most nonchalant person I've ever seen, and he just wants to.
Not on the court.
No, but listen, that's the killer mentality you want to have on a court. But off the court, he's not this guy that's going to be starring in movies because he's in LA now. He's not this guy that's going to get all. He's going to get all these endorsements, but he's not the guy that wants to participate in all these kind of endorsements and all this whatever. He just wants to go and play basketball. And
drink some beer,
and he had
and eat some good food. Now you know what? That's American right there.
And he had all the love and everything he needed here.
Yeah.
And Nico just doesn't care. He just threw it away, and Luka's going to be scarred for life for it. And we obviously when he's on the court, he's going to be playing well, but off the court, I'm sure every night he's going home and he's just
like, ugh.
He's happy he's playing basketball. I'm sure he's fortunate he's able to play for Lakers. No, he doesn't want to be there, but listen, you get to play for one of the most historic franchises of all time in all of sports, and that's a big deal. And you don't take that for granted. But
anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on Luka, but otherwise in basketball, is there anything that's Greg Popovich announced he's not going to return, which is very unfortunate. Hopefully he does come back to coaching, because it's going to be really cool that this new era of Spurs basketball, Pop can help help usher it into whoever the successor is.
Yeah, just a lot of unfortunate news in the last couple weeks or last week with the Spurs. Obviously Popovich had this the stroke that he suffered many months ago. But the news today saying that he's not going to return. Wemby last week ruled out for the season with a health issue. Just everyone has the Spurs in their prayers right now, and hopefully Pop will be able to come back, because he's the greatest coach I've ever seen, and it's never easy, no matter who you're a fan of, saying goodbye to someone from their sport, no matter what they do and who they coach for, who they play for, or whatever.
In some good news for basketball fans, the NBA Centel
Yes, he's back.
Who is very so it's a if you don't know what this is on Twitter, there's an account called NBA Central that actually does post real news, right? One of those is independent news accounts. They don't really break anything, but they help keep people updated. Well, there's a person that's created NBA Centel without the R, and I guess and they changed it. They changed some letters around and stuff, and so they make it funny, and it's parody news.
Yeah,
it's clear it has an account that's parody, and they post really funny things. And so, when somebody falls for it, right? Because it's the same logo and everything. It's called you got Centelled.
And he's been around for years as well.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, he got banned on Twitter, and some people were like, "Man, Adam Silver cares too much about NBA Centel, not enough about his product or whatever." And it was really, really funny. But now he's back, and he posted a thing where it's somebody being revived. He's like, "I'm back." So it's really, really cool. So to end it on some happy news for NBA fans, some fun news for NBA fans. But we moved to baseball, where spring training's happening. Spring training. Look, I say this. I think I've said this the last 2 years, and I'm going to say it again. It's spring training. Nick Ahmed hit a home run yesterday. I don't see him making the team just because he had a home run yesterday. You know what I mean? People overreact. Rocker had a bad start. Oh my gosh! Come on, spring training. It's his first start. Even we talk about how even it takes 2 to 3 weeks in the season for pitchers to be fully, in shape. Hitters are, by the end of this week, hitters would be ready, mostly. Most hitters would tell you they need a couple weeks. And they're kind of back in the swing of pun intended, they're back in the swing of things. But pitchers need time. It's why spring training, it's why they report first. They need time to ramp up their arms. And in some Ranger pitching news, Nathan Eovaldi is trying out a new pitch this spring. And he's trying out a two-seamer. And he has thrown it, but he has thrown this in his starts. I don't know if he's pitched multiple. I think he's pitched twice now. And his reasoning was he wants something that, goes into right-handers that can play off the splitter. He doesn't want people sitting on a splitter as much. He wants something that can kind of have not similar movement, but that's moving into right-handers similar to a splitter.
I was going to say, I think Eovaldi's a perfect pitcher to add that to his arsenal because of, what he does. I feel like maybe a slider was the only thing I can really think of.
He has one.
He never really throws it.
He doesn't throw it to lefties. Either he doesn't throw it to lefties or he doesn't throw it to righties. I just never really noticed him throw it at all. One of the sides he doesn't throw it to, because it's just a specialty pitch.
Well, anyways, he's a four-seam splitter, curveball pitcher, and the cutter. But I just like that he's adding the two-seam to his arsenal because his motion, his throwing motion is a little funky. It's very stop-start. And a two-seamer, something that moves in and then cuts in. I think that's a great pitch for him.
I'm going to start calling him the fastball Thanos, because now I don't think there's a single fastball he doesn't throw. Because he throws the four-seam fastball, the two-seam fastball, the cut fastball, and now the split-finger fastball.
He doesn't throw a sinker, does he?
Well, two-seam sinker, they're pretty much the same thing. Because the ones that were on there, StatCast registers them as sinkers, but it's a two-seamer. Okay. It's essentially the same pitch. There really isn't much. It's more, and sometimes I've always felt it's, and someone who knows more about baseball may correct me on this, I've always looked at it as they're used differently. Sinkers are meant to be located down in the zone. Two-seamers can be located up in the zone, and that's kind of the difference. But you grip them pretty much the same. They move pretty much the same. It's just a matter of how you use them.
MLB The Show, I love throwing sinkers high.
But that's because MLB The Show. But yeah, there's Langford is still out with his oblique thing, so hopefully that's not a major issue. Carter's been crushing the ball. Alejandro Osuna's made a few plays. He's been crushing the ball. Higashioka's been crushing the ball. So you're seeing some good signs, even though it is just spring training. So, and then the same thing with the MLB. There really isn't much big, baseball news happening. You're not going to see too many. I mean, pretty much all of the major free agents have signed. Bregman was, I think, the last one. There really isn't much. The Mets signed Jose Urena. So good for him. I really was worried. Not worried. I was really, really curious as to why he signed to a minor league deal. Sub-4 ERA was a swingman last year for us. I'm like, this guy was really good. Why is nobody wanting to sign him?
I never had a problem with him. I mean, it was a guy that 8 innings for us when we needed him to. So.
I mean, it was really, really weird. But yeah, the Guardians owner passed away. That happened.
Rest in peace.
Very sorry to his family. The Nats re-signed Kyle Finnegan. But, I mean, you see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel for roster news just because, the Rangers actually did make a small signing. They did sign Kevin Pillar. So maybe you stash him at AAA, or maybe he makes your team, or more than likely you cut him loose and he catches on somewhere else. But that's it. I mean, baseball, just not that much. It's spring training. We're about a month away to the season. In fact, a month today, season starts. March 27th.
A few weeks, we'll do our record predictions.
The week before, we'll do our record. Well, actually, no, the week of, because we're going to have to do an episode before.
Right. Okay.
Because Thursday is opening day, and I'm not going to be here. So, yeah, we're going to be having to do a different.
Where are you going to be?
My dad's.
Oh, okay.
I feel really bad about not going last year. I don't want to say ditching him, but going to opening day without him. So this year, we're going back to it was the first time since 4th, 5th grade that I didn't watch opening day with him. So I'm doing that this year. And for the foreseeable future. But yeah, baseball news, pretty nil.
Yeah,
it's not much. Anyway, so football. Combine actually just kicked off in Indianapolis in terms of the on-field drills. Today is, I think, defensive linemen and specialists. I'm about to correct myself because I'm getting it up right here on my phone. It is defensive linemen and linebackers. So you have the interior guys, you have the edge guys. They're doing the on-field drills. They're doing the 40. They've done measurements, right? I think Michael Williams, which is when I was really curious, came out at 34-inch arms, which for a defensive end is just insane. But yeah, combine happening. We will actually have a post-combine mock 2.0 next week. But this week, we do have a fun idea that I think I want to do at least 2 of them. Maybe I don't want to do 4. There's no point in doing 4 of these, but at least 2. And this will be the first one, and that is a Dallas Cowboys 7-round mock draft. Now, for context of how we did this is all through PFF, so it's their board. It falls a certain way, right? I can tell you that I think my first 2 picks will not be there at either of those 2 picks, but on the board, they were there. So this is a dream scenario in terms of this is what I would do if I was a GM. This isn't what I think would actually happen. This is what I would do if I was the Cowboys GM.
And for me, at least, I mean, I don't know who you went with, but on my board, I think my second round pick, I went mostly just what the Cowboys need and what I think that they will do and what I think they should do. So,
my first 2 picks are BPA, and then after that, I picked for need.
Yeah, I went just what I think is going to happen for all 9 of my picks.
Okay, so first round,
or 10, whatever.
First round. My pick, he was there. I don't see him being there, but it was Ashton Genty. I know you went a different route, but because Genty was not there, you went.
Yeah, Genty was there on my board, but I just decided, I don't think he was going to be there, so I was realistic. I went Amari and Hampton. I think the talks are building up around that, and I won't be disappointed in that if they do it. No. I mean, if Genty's there and they go Hampton, I'll be a little questionable. I won't be mad. But
I would question it. He is the only other first round back I have.
Yeah.
And me and you both agreed on the comp, and Cowboys fans are going to love the comp, and it's a comp I've actually heard from other analysts, which is DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
I think they run very, very, very similar. But either one of those backs, I'm happy with at 12.
Yeah, totally.
Second round, this guy is not going to be there. I think someone may reach on him in the first because he's the top guy at this position. But with Zach Martin retiring, I love Brock Hoffman, but if Tyler Booker is there for you at 44, I'm sprinting that pick to the podium, and I'm doing cartwheels in our little draft studio here. Or wherever we're doing our draft show, I'm doing cartwheels.
Well, guess what? I'll join you because I also have him going Tyler Booker.
I actually just recently, I think 2 days ago, watched him, and he's a guy, his feet can get a little choppy, so he's not going to be a tackle. He is a guard only. He was left guard for Bama, but, I mean, he can play right guard. It's not a terrible transition. But dude is powerful. I mean, when he hits, people move. There are bodies flying from that left guard position. So, and I think he's pretty good at pass pro. I think he's really good at finding guys to block when nobody's rushing at him. I actually think he picks up stunts pretty well. I saw someone say that he didn't. I think he did, but we could have watched different games. But I really like the player.
Yeah, so that's why I went with him as well.
Third round, I went defensive tackle. Now, I haven't watched him, but I know some about this guy. At this point, the rest of these players I have not watched, but I have done enough research and readings on them to be like, okay, I can talk about him. I went Deion Walker from Kentucky. He can loaf sometimes, and sometimes he's not in the game, but me and you watched Omarion Hampton, and like 3 times in that North Carolina game, Walker made a play where we're like, dang, can't wait to watch this guy.
Yeah.
But I know he's not consistently on the field, so it's why I think he may fall to the third, and if we get him in the third, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. My third round pick, I went offense. Okay. I went skill position.
Receiver.
I went wide receiver. I went Isaiah Bond out of Texas. I watched Bond all year, and he was clearly the wide receiver one the first half to first 3 quarters of the season. And then, I don't know what happened. I mean, I know he was injured a little bit near the end of the season, but Matthew Golden just took over as that number one receiver. But I think if Bond's there in the third round, he's got the talent, he's got the intangibles. I mean, I really like Bond, and obviously a receiver is a need. And if he's there, I think the Cowboys take him.
I want to stress this to people. I want to trade back. This was a no trade back draft. The next one we do, I will allow us to do trades.
Okay.
Because I want to trade back and get an extra. Heck, I want to trade back twice because you're at 12, so you could theoretically go back to like the late teens and then the mid 20s, get probably an extra maybe second and an extra third. Oh,
and a guy like Hampton could still fall to that.
At that point, I actually think if I was doing that, Matthew Golden may be the guy I'm looking at there.
I'm with you.
Trade back, get Golden, and then
Caleb Johnson round 2. Yeah,
you just don't have enough spots to fill because you traded your 4th round pick for Jonathan Mingo. You don't have that 4th round pick that can help get you a good player. You need more picks in the top 100, or you need more picks in the top 150 because right now you only have 4 projected because I think one of the comp picks is your number 150. So you need more top 150 picks. And you really need more top 100 picks because I went running back, guard, defensive tackle. But you could also argue receiver. You could also argue corner if Trevon Diggs isn't there. So there's a lot of you need more picks to fill the spots on your roster. But then you have that big gap from 76 to 150.
Yeah.
That's a lot of picks that are going to go, right? Because what happened last year? Right before your 5th round pick, here comes that last running back run where Tyrone Tracy went, Bucky Irving went. They all went right before your pick. And so you don't want that to happen again, but it probably will because you don't have that 4th round pick. But in the 5th at 150, I took the Triple Crown winner at receiver from this year, a guy that I'm sorry to Travis Hunter, right? I think Hunter won it. He should have won the Biletnikoff, and that is from San Jose State.
Love him.
Nick Nash.
Yep.
Clearly, and I'm going to talk about is the production. The production jumps off the tape. I haven't watched him, but I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, and I'll join you for that one.
So you took Nick Nash?
No, I did not take Nick Nash because I went Bond round 3.
That's right.
But I had them going with a guy that I've seen a lot of people mock, and this was something that I think they should do anyway, but I've seen a lot of mocks this. I've seen he's had a individual meeting with them, and that's Danny Stutzman at Oklahoma.
I like Stutzman.
I really like Stutzman, and I think him being there at 150 might be a little bit of a reach. I think he can fall a little, maybe to our 170, but I really like Stutzman.
I want to make a note here because people are, oh my gosh, the Cowboys are meeting with X player at the Combine. Combine interviews don't matter as much because you get a significant amount of them. Like I've seen at like 20, 30 players that the Cowboys have already supposedly met with. It's not that much, but like you get more interviews because it's quick. I think it's like 18 minutes or something like that. It's a very quick interview, and so you get more of them. The important ones to monitor are the top 30 visits. Those are the ones that matter because that's where teams really want to take guys. When they bring them into their building, they get them for a significant amount of time. They can really turn on. And people wonder what these meetings are. From my understanding, most of these meetings are they sit the player down, They ask him some questions. Sometimes those questions get a little bit crazy. And I know people think that's unfair to a 22-year-old kid. The problem is these teams are about to invest millions of dollars in them. So I don't think it's very unfair. You can ask whatever you want if you're going to pay me millions of dollars.
I'm with you.
And then I think the other thing that they'll do is they'll turn on tape of like the pro team, ask them to identify what's going on. But then most of the time they'll take tape of the player in college and they'll say what happened here. Like for example, Jake Ferguson told a story from his combine visit where our tight ends coach and still current tight ends coach Lunda Wells turned on one of the game tapes, and it was Ferguson like absolutely whiffing a block. He got swim moved, and he whiffed. And Lunda, Coach Wells asked him, "Hey, what happened?" He went, "Well, he explained what happened in detail." He went, "What are you going to do next time?" "Well, I'm not going to do." Blah. He went, "No. What are you going to do next time?" And he gave like, "Well, no. What are you going to do next time?" "I'm going to kick his what." That's the answer I'm looking for, right? So that's it's really just a chance to get a preliminary chance to meet with the player. Then the top 30 visit is where you can really get to know the player. And I hate to say this, but a lot of the questions that teams ask happen to be questions the teams already know the answer to, and they're looking to see if they're lying. That's a big one.
And listen, you gotta know the person.
But I think it was very important to stress that about the combine interviews.
But going back to my pick, Danny,
going into your pick, I'm sorry.
Stutzman, no, he was. I really think he's a stud, and I really don't think he should be that late in the draft. Yeah. So.
The reason I mentioned that whole thing about the interview was that people were like, "Oh my God," because you mentioned that he's been like there's been some buzz to Dallas. It's because it was like he had a really good interview. He apparently had a good interview with us. Yeah. At 170, here's where that conglomerate, that just kind of glut of picks, where it's just we got three of them at 170, 172, and 174. So I got three really good football players here. The first one at 170, I went Denzel Burke, who I'm a huge fan of. I think he's significantly better than a fifth-round player, but he was there, so I'm going to take him.
I like it.
Chase?
I'm a little different here. The report of the Cowboys wanting to go young at quarterback position.
So you went with a QB here.
I went with a QB here, and I don't think he's going to be here this late.
No, he's not. I know who you went.
But I went Jackson Dart here at 170. And I think it'd be great. I think, if they really, are going to stick to what they said and they want us to go young and listen, you can sit under Dak for a few years and become the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. I think Dart's has great potential. Dart's
going to go in the third. This is going to be one of my draft day predictions that I'm going to be talking about until draft day. And then when we get to day 2, I'm going to talk about it even more. You're going to probably get annoyed. Viewers are going to get annoyed with it. I'm sure Chase and Seth are going to get annoyed with how much I'm
agree with you.
Someone's going to take him in the third as a Spencer Rattler. Let's see what he can do. But I actually went quarterback at 172. So my next pick, I actually liked him at Ohio State. I liked what he did. I really liked what he did at Syracuse this year. And I think he fit. This is this is the only pick that I looked at and I said, this is a guy that Cowboys would like. And I like too. But he was a big school guy, went to a smaller school, did really well. I'm pretty sure he was a high recruit. He went to Ohio State, right? He fits that Cowboys of like he was at one point thought of as way up here, and then he kind of didn't really meet that. But maybe with us he can. And I went Kyle McCord out of Syracuse, and I would be a huge fan of that in the fifth. I think with these 4 fifth-round picks at 150, 170, 72, and 74, I think they're going to take a quarterback here. Maybe they wait to the 6th. But I think they take one in the 5th, and I got Kyle McCord.
I like that. That was your 170 or 172?
That's 172. So we're on 172 now.
Okay.
So who's your 172?
So my 172, a position that I, is needed. I'm going Emory Jones Jr. at LSU.
I had a feeling because I had 174. I had him going Emory Jones Jr.
Yeah.
So we can kind of both talk about this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When we watched Will Campbell together, we noticed that a lot of the stuff on the right side didn't look great, but I think there's still some potential there. And so, I think in the 5th, it's get a guy that could be, but, he's going to compete with Nathan Thomas, and he's going to compete with Austin Richards, who are two guys that you've drafted the past few years. So, he's going to be kind of in that mix.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
No, I mean,
Same
same thing. I mean,
And then
we're both going in for the same reason.
And then at 174, who'd you have?
I had Cody Lindenberg, another linebacker, and I'll explain myself because
I assume you think Overshown's not playing?
I think he is out for the season, and if he does, it won't be till late. But I also want the Cowboys to have more depth at the linebacker position because there's been a problem with Cowboys linebackers for God knows how many years now, and people are saying the Cowboy linebacker curse, whatever it is, right? But I think they really need to add just some young talent and more depth in that linebacker position. And I think Lindenberg, he's there. He's a good talent. I believe he's 6'3". So really good body.
Re-signing Kendricks will be important, I think, because right now you have one starting linebacker,
right,
in Maris Luka, who played really well. I can't wait to go grind more NFL. I'm trying to get to my top 100 in the draft before I start looking at NFL tape in the offseason. But I really like what I remember from watching the games. And from some of my, after during the week after the game tape. But you have one viable linebacker right now, and hopefully you have two with Overshown playing, and those two are going to feed families in Dallas. Problem is, though, you're going to need a third.
Right. And you need a third. And this is the reason why I just have them going more depth. I don't think they're going to take Lindenberg here. I don't, and I'm not necessarily saying I want them to. I just think that if they did, one, I'd be able to say I called it. Yeah. Two, I just think for the depth need, it's not a bad position to pass up. To draft multiple of.
And then at 189 in the 6th round, I decided to go back to the defensive tackle well, and I went Junior Tafuna out of Utah. He's one of those just he's big, powerful. He definitely fits the mold for those Utah D tackles where they're just kind of big, powerful guys that maybe aren't the fastest, they aren't the quickest, they're not going to rush the passer. But think of kind of what Mozzie's been in the NFL so far, which hey, maybe against the run he's pretty good, but and you're getting him in the 6th, so you never know.
Yeah,
he's a body.
So with my pick at 189, I think you're going to like this pick because this is something that you've stressed a lot, recently. And when you talk about teams and, offenses and why they're so successful on the ground because they have, a two-headed monster, they have their Thunder and Lightning combination. Yeah. And I think Hampton's a mix of both Thunder and Lightning. But
who'd you go?
I have him going Jordan James here.
That would be a steal in the 6th.
And listen, he's on my board there, and so I took him. I love Jordan James. I wouldn't be. I'm not saying I would be mad. I would be mad if he's our only running back that we took. But I also think that Dowdle, he might get a little more money than what I would like to pay him, and there's a possibility of him not returning. And
that's out there.
Listen, you go two young rookie running backs. Hopefully one pans out. Not to mention, hopefully both of them do, and then you have boom, and they have one of the best run games in the league. And especially in the 6th, I think it's 100% worth taking that chance.
It's clearly something that the coaching staff is stressing, and I wouldn't be mad at that. I did not take a running back after Genty because I think they're going to sign one, whether that's Dowdle or somebody else. At 211, at this point, you're just kind of taking whoever. You're taking flyers, and I'm taking a guy he's smaller, but he's very fast. And when I'm watching Shedeur Sanders tape, he kept jumping out. And I bet you know who I'm going to take because and as much as I like Will Shepherd, LeJontay Wester has he has some juice. And I think I don't think you're going to lose, I'm not going to say this, but I don't think you're going to lose Turpin. If you happen to lose Turpin, I think he could replace him. I haven't watched Wester specifically, but I think he's got some of that quick twitch. He's fast. And at 211, I'm loving that pick to double dip at receiver, and to hope that one of them can pan out.
I'm with you on that. I didn't go receiver, but I like it. I went Dante Trader Jr.
Okay, I like that.
Out of Maryland.
I like that.
Obviously, safety is a need. Obviously, safety is a little weak in this class, as many classes. But he's got a lot of talent, and the Cowboys could obviously use another safety.
Again, the last pick, he have at 249, actually well towards the end of the draft, so the Cowboys fans have a reason to stick around towards pretty much the end. You're going to like this pick because I went hook 'em horns with this pick, and I went linebacker. I went David Gabinda, and I think you might have too.
Yeah, well,
Did you
No.
go 3 linebackers?
I did not go. No.
I was gonna no, Chase, but I did go linebacker. I watched, you watch a lot of Texas games because they were really good this year, and Gabenda was one of those guys that I think he was a rotational player, but he kind of when he was on the field, he was standing out a lot, enough for me to definitely want to take him in the draft. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Who did you
I'm
take?
laughing because I also went Hook'em Horns, and I actually got an A+ pick for this.
Wait, let me see if I can guess. Who?
I got an A+ pick for this.
Is it one of your safeties? Corner? Who?
It's not something I think they'll do either. He was just on my board, and I was shocked because his ADP didn't line up with this pick.
It's not you. Did you get Sorrell?
No.
But if you got Sorrell in the 7th,
No.
I'm doing cartwheels.
I went Jake Majors.
That would be interesting.
Not that we, obviously we need a lineman, but
Backup center?
well, yeah, but it's also like I think he could play guard. I think, but then it's like, if we take Booker, then where does Tyler Smith go? Maybe Guyton goes to right, Smith goes to left, Majors at left guard, BB at center, and then Booker at right guard.
You went Majors for the BPA.
I mean, he was clearly the BPA, and his ADP did not line up with anywhere near 249 or whatever pick that was. I put my phone away. And I think it was like a 184 ADP or something like that. But I love Majors. I watched him for years, obviously as the starting center, the captain for Texas. And if he's there in round 7, I'd take the flyer on him, get some O-line depth for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully, I really like our drafts. The Cowboys, in some other Cowboys news, just so that we don't end with just a mock, Osa looks like we've heard from Mike Fisher that they could be close to a deal, could be coming in around or a little bit more than $21 million a year, which would not even put him in the top 10 defensive tackles money, which is perfect.
Yeah.
That's great money for you. And people, you know what pissed me off about Cowboys fans? Everyone's been complaining for so long about how we don't spend money and we don't do this. And then, hey, they're going to re-sign Osa. Oh, that's a stupid move. Why are you spending so much money? Well, to get a good football player, you have to spend some money. And people are like, well, because so the cap has been officially at like 279, so it's officially like a 23.8 mil bump. And it's like, oh, so we're just going to spend all of that on one player? It's like, no, you non-cap knowing person.
People don't understand. I don't think people understand how much money the Cowboys actually have to spend.
If they do things.
If they restructure contracts.
There was actually a way, and I don't remember who did this, but I think it's multiple people. Someone created a way where the Cowboys could create $100 million in cap
That was
space.
last year.
No, that was this year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was something last year because I saw it because if they did that, they could have got like Devontae Adams.
With re-signing Micah, which I know people are going to be like, wait, so if you re-sign Micah, you save money? Yes. If you're going to ask me, how do you do that? I'll have to go look that up, and I'll come back next week. But I know it's one of those how you can move. It's how you can move. It's how you can move. I try to turn your mic off. If that registered, I'm sorry. But it's how you move money around and everything, and how the extension works and how bonuses and everything, cap hit, and how all that works. Restructuring Dak, restructuring CD, doing all these things. The Cowboys can create a lot of space to go spend some money and re-sign their guys. So if we re-sign Osa, that's a big deal because then at least you have one starting caliber defensive tackle.
Not to mention, Osa's been a great player who's been extremely reliable too. I think he's only missed one game, and knock on wood, obviously, watch, we'll sign him and he'll miss half the season.
That's been the MO for the Cowboys. Re-sign a player, injured.
Exactly. So obviously we hope he's on the field because he's a great player when he's on the field.
CD and Dak both got hurt, and Diggs.
Yeah.
We can't hear. Anyway, I want to say this real quick before we end it. You know me, Chase. I talk about all the time scheme fit. You want to talk about scheme fit? You're not going to find a better one with Osa than with Eberflus because Eberflus is four-man pressure. I don't blitz that much. So guess what? You need a defensive tackle that can stunt and twist and rush the passer and do those things. Osa's one of the best at that.
I wonder if Eberflus has a say to Jerry and like, listen, I want Osa, so re-sign him.
Eberflus has already said to the media he's our top priority. Of course, that's defensive coach. Clayton Adams might say, well, hey now, our top priority should be this guy, or should be this free agent over here. That's how it works, right? So, and that's Jerry's job to listen to.
And guess what? If you re-sign Osa, you don't have to draft a defensive lineman or multiple defensive linemen.
You don't need a D tackle with your first 3 picks, in my opinion, because this is one of those. I still like Mozzie. I'm still giving him a chance. I hate it's gonna be his 3rd defensive coordinator in 3 years, Hopefully he can figure. I feel bad because that's not setting him up for success. But I will say that I think maybe with Eberflus he can figure something out.
I said this is at least for me. Like, this is the year where, like, okay, dude. I mean,
it's make or break.
It's like I'm already on the verge of, like, calling him a bust. But this is the year. If you don't show out this year, you don't make some plays, I don't notice you.
And I'm actually gonna just start doing something. I'm gonna start calling guys that were drafted after like pick 15. I'm gonna start calling them. I'm gonna stop calling them busts because we were already a good football team and he was a luxury pick. It's a miss. You missed on him. Bust, I don't know. Bust feels like...
Well, listen, he might not be a bust because he could get, if he's not good next year, he's gone. And if he goes somewhere, he could stand out a little bit.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to start defining bust as guy that didn't pan out because he was bad. And let me explain. That'd be a Johnny Manziel or a Ryan Leaf or a guy that did not pan out because he himself was not going to be... Or
sure.
Jamarcus Russell.
Sure.
A miss is a guy that was a good football player that just didn't go to the right team or didn't go to the right coaching staff. And to me, Mozzie's a miss. Taco might have been a bust, but Mozzie feels more like just a miss. You just kind of missed what I still think he should have gone to a 3-4 team, not a 4-3 team. But that's me. I didn't really like the fit when we got him. I liked the player, not the fit. I believe I said that. I'll go back.
He'd be all pro if he went to Philly.
If he went to a team like Pittsburgh, where they're definitely they're 3-4, I think he'd had a lot more success. But we'll see this year. I am willing to start the year with Osa and Mozzie as your starting two guys.
Sure.
If it means, because this is the problem. Right now you have 3 picks to get 3 impact players. Rounds 1, 2, and 3. And you could use an impact corner. You could use an impact edge, especially if D-Law's gone. You could use an impact D tackle. You could use an impact running back, an impact guard, and an impact receiver. Well, that's 6 positions.
My first 3 picks were all offense.
Re-signing J. Lou, I think, kind of takes away that desperate need for impact corner. Re-signing Osa takes away that. So now you have, what? I can't do math. 4 positions. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know why I blanked there. Well, because I was putting fingers down like, wait a second, that doesn't feel right. You have 4 now positions of need where now you can go receiver, you can go running back, and you can go offensive lineman. And just kind of neglect edge. And edge is one of those, it's kind of one of those you may not need it. So then I still am of the belief that if you re-sign your guys, you need receiver, running back, and defensive tackle. Right? No. Receiver, running back, offensive lineman. Or defensive tackle. There's a lot of needs.
Those are all 3 of my first picks.
Anyway, we'll figure this out as we get closer to the draft.
Or hopefully, Abdul Carter falls to us because of the whole recent news.
That's the last thing we're going to talk about. Thank you for reminding me because I completely forgot. It came out of the combine this week that Abdul Carter has a stress fracture in his right foot.
I don't think it's going to require surgery.
He's not going to get surgery on it. He's actually said he's going to work out at his pro day. It's just one of those things that you need to monitor now because this is something that we did not know about. And he can't go before pick 12. Can't do it. Nope. He has to fall to pick 12 now.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
Micah
and Abdul Carter on each side. Oh boy.
Good luck.
2 Micahs.
I mean, we're not stopping the run at all.
No.
But you can't pass on us.
Exactly.
You might rush for 300, but hopefully we like we strip the ball 5 times and anyway. Point is, that came out of the draft. We will monitor stuff out of the combine. Next week will be our second mock draft for all 32. And it'll be a post-combine mock who kind of, who rose, who fell. So we'll keep monitoring that. Yep. And we will talk to you guys next week.
See ya.